Well, since the Earthrise has risen in my neck of the woods, I thought it was high time that we look at the sinister, the scandalous, and the suspicious Earthrise Starscream. And how he compares to his Siege counterpart in the latest GotBot True review. And welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, your most humble host, Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot. As always, of course, please like, comment, share, subscribe because it helps me out a ton. And while you're at it, that's right, man, hit that notification bell. Not only because it helps me out, but it lets you know when content of all sorts goes up here on the channel, from countdowns to stop motions to the live show on Thursday nights to reviews like these and everything in between. Check out Machinery of Man, the Everything Factor, Transformers Collectors, NL, and the Autobot family, and have a look for me everywhere across social media. And this is kind of the Battle of the Starscreams, if you will. This is the new Earthrise Voyager class Starscream. This is, of course, the Siege Starscream. One is a tetra jet, the other is his Earth mode jet. I don't know, it's a bit of a toss-up. Which one is better? Which one kind of is more Starscreamy? Is there room for both? Is one more decisively better than the other? I don't know. There's a lot to dive into here, and we're going to cover it all when we head over to the table and take a closer look at this guy. And I guess, by comparison, we'll have another look at this guy too. And Earthrise forges ahead today when we look at the Voyagers. Well, the first of the Voyagers, that being, of course, Earthrise Starscream. And we're going to take this guy out of it and very quickly look at this box first. Not that there's a whole lot to see. So what do we have here? Again, fine artwork. We have one of those red things in there, the decoder things. Apparently there's nothing on this packaging. I haven't checked it out because I kind of don't care. I think they give you the names of planets, but I don't think there's anything on Starscreams. Here we have an image over here of Starscream. It's fine. It's Starscream. On the, I guess this side, we have that regular artwork we've seen. It's beautiful. And on the back we have Starscream in all of his glory. And it's like, it's fine. It looks like Starscream. It is what it is. And here indeed we do have our boy Starscream in his robot glory. If you can call it that. It is obviously an oversized version of the classics with a couple of extra hinges and things thrown in. We'll sort of compare them, though I don't have the classics version of Starscream because, to be honest, I'm not a fan of the mold. Never was. Looks great, doesn't function the best. We'll see what's been changed here. But what I would like to do is point out that I last looked at a Starscream, that being the Siege one, in episode 545. Speaking of which, here we have both Voyager Starscreams next to each other. We're going to talk about the paint apps first. The Siege one, I said, was a 9.5. Even with his battle muck on him, it was close on perfect in terms of where the colors should be, but it wasn't quite perfect. I did some custom paint apps myself. I got rid of some of the battle damage. I changed the blue to a deeper blue. I did continue the red and white lines on the Siege wings, which I said in the end, it's 10. This is quintessentially Starscream's robot mode. In terms of the Earthrise one, it's good. I'm going to say that it's about a 9, roughly. It's not as good as the Siege in capturing the character. I know some people are going to be horrified by me saying that, but let me explain why. When we look at the robot mode of Starscream from the animation, if that's what we're going with, which I go with all the time, but if that's what we're going with, then there's a couple of things here to note. First, the animation model of Starscream does not have hollow toes like Earthrise. Second, the animation model of Starscream does not have the tail wings on the sides of the feet, ankles. As a matter of fact, the feet, ankles are very clean in the animation model like they are on Siege. The rest of the thighs, hips, whatever is fine. Chest is fine on both. It depends on if you prefer the like recessed chest thrusters. I don't know. If you prefer that, then you'll probably like Earthrise. Going up, the pauldrons on the Earthrise at the shoulders are definitely more accurate. But I don't like the gap coming in right there. That really bugs me. The arms on both gray and red and blue are accurate on both. The head of the Earthrise is definitely better, and the wings of the Earthrise are more accurate. The only reason the Earthrise doesn't score a 10 is because of really the feet, the hollow toes, and the, what do you call it, the wings on the side. That's why it's a 9. We'll even say 9.5. Both of these, for different reasons, are accurate to Starscream, but I feel like the Siege one, for the robot mode, is a little more accurate. The proportions are a little bit better, and he has lower legs that are more correct. I also like on the Siege one that he has less hollowness, like especially on the back of the bicep. The back of the bicep of the Earthrise is hollow. The back of the bicep of the Siege is not. There's pros and cons to both, but neither is a bad choice. There's no doubt about it. Both very, very strong and comparable. Edit package, Siege is a 9.5. Edit package, Earthrise is a 9.5 for different reasons. Very comparable in terms of paint. What about articulation? Well, if we're calling this an upsize of the original Classics mold, then really we need to kind of look at the articulation in comparison to the Classics and the Siege. Starting from the top down, we have a head here that can go left, it can go right, it can look up, and it can look down. This is a perfect Starscream head. It's better than what we got in the Classics Deluxe. It's better than the Siege. We have wings. I guess I should mention this. We have wings that can fold back like this, which they could do with the Classics, but now there's an extra hinge here so it can fold back like this, and that allows us to sort of get a shoulder all the way around, which is admittedly very nice. So the shoulder can go all the way around. We do get a elbow bend to slightly over 90 degrees, very slightly over. We get a bicep swivel. We lose the wrist rotation that we had in Siege. We can do that, if that's any good to you, but we don't have a wrist rotation like we had in Siege, which is unfortunate. That's a piece of articulation lost. We do not have a waist anymore. Total bummer there, not a fan. The hip skirt is all one piece. I would have preferred if the hip skirt was really, I guess, 3 pieces, so the whole thing didn't have to go up. I find everything around the hip, pelvis, lower torso region to be a disappointment. Not a fan. Not a fan. The Earthrise has a waist all the way around, and it has separate hips. I prefer that on the Siege. I'm sorry, the Siege has a waist and hips. I prefer it on the Siege over the Earthrise. The hips, however, can go out. They go out this far to the side. It's all right. It's not, again, it's not perfect, but it's all right. The Siege does better for out to the side. Thigh, they both have a thigh. The Earthrise, oh, bring that up. The Earthrise goes forward this far and goes back that far. Like, he's not exactly going to do high kicks, but it's pretty good. Thigh rotation. We get a knee to a little over 90 degrees, which I always dig. Deeper the knee, the better. Again, on the back, we don't have any hollowness, which I like. I do appreciate on the Siege how this section pushes in, so he gets an even deeper knee bend, even if it's for transformation. We get toes that go down. We get a heel that goes down. We get an ankle tilt to the side. So in terms of the Siege, the bottom line is that we kind of gain a little bit of a cleaner look around the wings, but we lose some of the wing articulation. Like, I feel like the wings on the Siege can actually get out of the way a bit better. There's less hollowness on the Siege, and his hips are a bit better than what we get here. We lose, on the Earthrise here, we lose a waist, which I think is really sad. We lose a wrist rotation, which I also think is really sad. And we lose a bit of the range of motion. I said that the articulation for the Siege Starscream blew me away, shocked me, and was a 10. I think it's about, again, a 9 maybe a 9.5 for the Earthrise. It's good, but it's not quite as good. The loss of a waist and the loss of a wrist is sad. That being said, if we compare it to the classics, we do have improvements. The hip skirt, able to move up to get a better, more forward kick, is an improvement. The addition of an extra wing hinge is an improvement. In fact, here we can kind of see both of those molds together by way of thrust, because the only version of this mold I had is the cone heads, and I got a funny feeling that might be what happens with Earthrise too, assuming this gets used for the cone heads. Here's the thing, the shoulder rotation of the Earthrise is better because the wings can bend back out of the way. That's nice. The elbow is a bit better on the Earthrise. The wrist, I guess it's the same. Here it folds in, there it folds up. The hips are improved a little bit on the Earthrise. The forward kick is better on the Earthrise because the hip skirt can get out of the way. The knee is comparable on both. The toe, heel, and ankle tilt of the Earthrise is way better than just the solid foot that we get on the old one. So not bad so far. Let's get into the transformation, which is going to be real familiar. I guess, where should we begin here? I guess we'll begin by taking his null rays off. I didn't show them as accessories because I don't think they need to be shown as accessories. I'm going to try and deal with these arms first because I don't like how these arms are done. It's very similar to what we had in Siege, where the forearm opens up and sort of combiner wars up around the bicep. But I don't feel like the way it opens on the Earthrise is as nice. It's a bit of a nuisance, but I'm going to try here and there. So we open it out. Now here's where things get weird. When we open it, there's a hole right here. This elbow rectangular chunk needs to go in that hole. So you really need to kind of angle it like this and then sort of bring the hinge up and over. And then close this up with the hand up over it, and you should have that rectangular piece in here. We'll leave that for now. It's a little easier to do on one side than the other. I do find now that I've done it a few times, it's easier, but it's not my favorite arm transformation. With the original classics, you just folded the hands in and left the arms fully extended to fold them in the body. But nevertheless, here the arms compress more, which is nice. We will, I guess, do the chest next. And the chest, like there's a couple of little tabs here. You need to be delicate in picking them off. And I guess pick up that waist. And then you can bend back the body. Now, on the classics, the shoulder pauldrons come with this piece, and that's how it untabs. I kind of wish that that was still the case here. I wish that the shoulder pieces still came with this. It would, A, negate the gap right there in robot mode, and B, I don't think it would necessarily leave you needing to have these little tabs. And I'm going to tell you now, they're all painted red, and the paint is starting to chip already on mine. I wouldn't convert him a lot. You can take the nose cone and flip that all the way up over Starscream's head, a la the classics. You take out the nose cone, you rotate it around and bring it down between the shoulder pieces and tab it in. You take the arms here, you fold it in, you take this arm and you do the same thing and you fold it in. And then you close all of that back up. And that's the upper body, really essentially, I just need to, there. That's the upper body really essentially done. You will note that this right here looks like it's a landing gear. It's not. I'm just gonna adjust things slightly so that we can do the legs next. So we combiner wars the arms in, so to speak. We're gonna do the same thing with the legs. On the classics, all you did was take this, and you would flip it up. Now here the ankle tilt helps because you can use the ankle tilt, flip this up. There's a little tab there that'll go into a little like notch right there on the side. So you can do that. The heel will kind of automatically come down. You bring up the toe. Now, instead of just pushing this up straight as you would have done with the classics, you actually open the front of the leg here, you untab it from the back, and it does tab in the back. This tabs into a hole on the front. There's a little rectangular tab on the back that goes into a hole on the back of the leg. You want secure knees? Tab it into both. Do that and then combiner wars the leg down and bring up the, I don't know, shin piece, I guess. bring that down on that side. We do the same on the other side over here, where we bring this down, we untab, we bring it up, we tab it in, use the ankle, bring that back, bring that down, bring this up. If you haven't done so already, tab the two legs together, make sure that they're tabbed in up right here, and then we can work on these wings that are up straight. Ah yes, the infamous wings. A lot of people have complained about when they bring this down that the wings pop off. Starscream wife converted this guy and the wings popped off. I have not had them pop off at all. So go figure. Bring this down and it does tab in like that. And then when you're done, you can take his null rays and they either go up in the wing on his forearm or back here on his leg, wherever you are inclined to put them, so that in the end, boom, here we have Starscream in his jet mode. And this is where this guy makes his money. The transformation, for the record, is pretty easy. He was getting all right marks overall. But this is it. The transformation, again, I guess it's, I don't know, the transformation I guess is about, it's about 9. It's pretty good. No, you know what? It's not 9. Because you got those tabs on the chest that I don't like, and I don't like the arms. I'm going to say it's comparable to the Siege, but in different ways. I'm going to say it's about a 7.5. And the resulting mode is where this guy stands out. This is what makes him a star, no doubt about it. At least from the top. When you get to the side, it's a little bit of a different story. There's no landing gear, and this doesn't look great. I don't know. Like, it's a beautiful plane. There's no doubt about it. But is that enough to say that this guy is better? Well, here's the final analysis. What we actually have is two vastly different, but really both are very successful takes on the character of Starscream. The reason that I personally prefer the Siege is because I look at the Siege and I say, the robot mode is more indicative of the character with a greater range of motion, and in terms of doing a Tetrajet version, I really doubt that they're going to do a better job. They might do a different job, but I don't think they're going to do a better job. I look at the Earthrise and I say, it's improved over the classics, but I still feel like that there's room for improvement. I don't know. The engineering of the Earthrise feels old to me. It feels like they took the classics and said, hey, let's put in some things that fans have asked for and call it a day. I'd like to see something a little more original, I think, for an Earth Starscream. But that's just me, and that is subjective. So what about objectively when we talk about scores? Both of them are comparable in terms of paint apps. They're both a solid, say, 9.5 for different reasons. The articulation of the Siege is better, clocking in at a 10. The Earthrise articulation is about an 8, maybe a 9. It's good, but we missed that wrist and we missed that waist. The transformation of the Siege is about a 7.5. The transformation for the Earthrise is about the same. It's about a 7.5. The Siege, it has a pain in terms of its chest. The Earthrise also has a pain in terms of its chest. I don't like those little tabs, and I worry about the longevity of it. I don't think that there's a right answer or a wrong answer. It's what do you prefer more? What feels more successful and more Starscreamy to you? Neither one of them are bad. It all boils down to kind of a personal aesthetic. Now that I've had both of them, I edge out the win to Siege. But I could certainly understand why somebody else would edge out the win to Earthrise. And here we are once again, and a lot has been said here. So let's kind of very quickly summarize it here. What does the Siege have over the Earthrise? It has better wing articulation to get them out of the way. It has wrist rotation. It has a waist. It has shins, or calves I should say, that can move in, that I think help with the range of motion on the legs a little bit. And maybe that's about it. Maybe that's about... Oh, and he doesn't have the junk on his lower legs. They're sleek. The Earthrise has his alt mode, and he has arguably better shoulder pauldron things, and he does have the better head sculpt. But he doesn't have a waist swivel. he kind of has a bit of, I'm not going to say hollowness, because it's not really hollow, but he has weird indents on the side of his body. And he doesn't have the wrist rotation, and he has kibble down here. And if you believe Starscream wife, then she doesn't like his kneecaps as much as this guy's either. I don't know. I prefer, even though he's a tetrajet, I prefer the Siege personally. This feels like older engineering to me, and it quite literally does just feel like they took the classics, which I was very meh on to begin with, and said, hey, let's give the classics an ankle tilt. Let's give the classics an extra hinge on the wing to get it out of the way. And that's about it. I don't like those chest tabs. I'm a bit nervous about the longevity of them, especially since they're painted. I don't know. There's a lot to like with the Earthrise, but I still feel like, you know what? Here's the takeaway. I feel like that when it comes to a version of Starscream that's a tetrajet, that this may very well be the best that we'll get. It's hard to top because it was so very good. As excellent as the Earthrise Starscream is, I feel like that there's still room to improve on his Earth mode. I feel like there's something more, and I can't tell you what, but I feel like there's something more that could be done here. I'm just not sure how to do it. I'd like to see more of the aspects and features of this guy incorporated into this guy, but that's just me. At the end of the day, they're both fine Starscreams. I just aesthetically, and because I value a wrist swivel and a waist swivel, and I like the fact he doesn't have kibble, I prefer this one. That's not to say that your argument for preferring this one isn't valid. It definitely is. And it's not a bad Starscream. It's just, I don't know if it's quite as good as the Siege. Anyway, that's my take on it. Let me know what your take is. Which one do you prefer? Obviously, if you have room for both, great. But which one do you prefer? Which one do you think is more Starscream? You know I love to hear from you guys. As always, please like, comment, share, of course, subscribe. I always say that stuff to you guys because it helps me out so very much. If you're in a position to help the channel to grow, don't forget, hit that donate link down in the description. Especially don't forget that somehow, some way, each and every day you do make a difference. And I look forward, man, to the next time that you and I get together, either in the live streams on Thursday nights, at the stop motion premieres, or the old fashioned way, man, to have another visit right here inside the videos.